I am familiar. I think it was a police officer who shot and killed a young black gentleman.
I I do to a point. I try not to get super involved with this because I don't trust the media. I've seen so many different accounts of what happened. I don't think it was fair that he was shot, from what I've heard, and I don't think that the officer who shot him should have been released. However, I do not know the full story because of how many different sides of the stories have been released in different forms of media, social media, and just everywhere.
I don't know exactly like the details or anything, but I mean I know there was I guess rioting and I mean it's brutal either way.
I just think that the police need to be accountable for their actions. I don't know if they would have shot a white person if, I mean, it doesn't seem like they would have, and it does seem like they were being racist. But we're just seeing one view. I wasn't there, so I don't really know what's happening there. But if there have been a lot of police stories, and I think they need to get their stuff in check.
I'm actually not familiar with the events that happened in Ferguson, Missouri.
I mean it hurt me because I don't like people getting hurt at all, and I remember afterwards people kept killing cops and then I remember reactions, other people's reactions to it first, and that bothered me even more because I mean, just the riot in itself caused other people to react violently to that, and it just kept getting bigger. And I don't want people getting hurt or anything.
It's a tragedy.
I thought that that was tragic and unfortunate. I feel that peaceful protests are definitely the right way to get your voice heard, but I think anything further than that, I disagree with. I also believe that citizens and the police made mistakes on both sides.
Well, my reaction to it was like I felt pity for the family, but like to me, honestly, police brutality comes against everyone. I don't feel like it's just against particularly one race because I just seen on the news that a white man he got beat by like 12 cops and they didn't even get in trouble for it, and they were saying they were dehydrated. The cops were dehydrated, so that was their reason behind it. So I don't think the the police system is justice at all. There's no justice in it. So that's my feelings about it towards any race. In Flagstaff, I really haven't, and I'm from Phoenix, so like yeah, like everywhere I've been, I really haven't experienced it. But I would say I've seen it firsthand, because one time like me and like my family members, we were just in the house like having a good time, and then like the police came and then like they asked my cousin for his ID, and then like he went to go get it out of his pocket, and then they started beating him, and I was just like, yeah, so I think that was racism all in itself.
I'm taking an FIS 121 class. It's about Native Americans. So I think there's a huge difference between Native Americans and white people up here. Because right now the white people are trying to take over the Native American, the tribes, their property and everything. So I think that's a big stereotype plus racism is happening right now.
Yes, unfortunately, I had witnessed some about 2.5 weeks ago. Some deviant, flagrantly ill-bred human used a racist word against a marvelous human being that was an employee at a undisclosed motel.
1995, I was homeless, so I would have a duffel bag of clothes. I went into a department store to change my clothes in one of their bathrooms, and then someone reported that I had stolen clothes and then was layering those clothes. Security waited until I got out of the store and then dragged me back into the office, and then upon realizing their mistake, I was immediately compensated.
I personally haven't witnessed it towards myself, and the most racism that I've like seen towards others was mostly just racist jokes, but they're not, I don't know, they're said by both races, you know what I mean? So I don't know if that's like serious, but I mean obviously it's serious, but it's not like anger or like discriminating.
Kinda, I mean, maybe as playing around, they call each other maybe with the offensive word and stuff, but what I see, I think they're just playing around because I see them laughing.
My old boss, I'm not going to name names, but he was joking and he said, I said, someone jacked one of the pens from the desk, and my boss says, "You're too white to say that," and that kind of just confused me because I can say whatever I want. It doesn't matter my skin color or anything. That's pretty much the extent of what I've seen or experienced.
Honestly, I can say I have not experienced any racism. What I do see about Flagstaff is that I don't really see a lot of Hispanic culture around here. There's a lot of stereotypes, I guess, with Mexicans especially here. And every time I see it, I try to clarify or anything along those lines. But I don't feel like it's intentional racism. I think it's just not knowing about the culture in a sense.
I mean, I see it all the time with students from the Middle East, because I see them driving around and then I'll hear or see someone yell something, offensive, and it kind of offends me because they're students too trying to get an education. I mean, they're not, people say things like terrorists and stuff, and they're people too.
I think that there are still a lot of prejudice against different races, but even though I've never experienced it myself or seen it, but I think that it's still out there. It's the individual's choice. I mean, there's good and bad people in every race, but I think once you talk to someone and get to know them and don't make assumptions on, what you see, but once you start talking to people and get to know them and really who they are and their culture and everything, that's when it can start to fade away.
They have to want to change. You can't force change. That's what Gandhi was all about.
As far as peaceful protests, I think that is really the best way to go. And then also going to the polls and voting to have your voice heard.
I guess if there is racism here, it probably travels here.
I do believe Arizona is the most racist state. I do believe that. And I only say that because I know so many people from different states, and they come here and they're like, I've never felt so like excluded, and like everybody like from different states, they're like everybody's one. Like it's not like there's like separate races. It's like, but like once they come here, it's like a different vibe. Like everybody like hates one specific group, or like no one, like the groups don't collide pretty much. So
Pretty conservative state that's known to be pretty racist, so I feel like it still exists a little bit, but I haven't witnessed any personally.
I believe racism exists everywhere. I just have not seen it personally.
I believe racism exists everywhere, though I don't think that it's institutionalized. I think it is a case-by-case basis.
Racism exists in
Racism exists.
Yes, I do think that it exists.